because that one's gonna naturally walk through the door, but yeah.
You can close it, Keith, it's fine. We normally would close it. I just give it that time. We close it.
I thought you were gonna open it and Justin was gonna magically walk through.
There it is. We opened it.
Justin, just FYI, we are live streaming right now, so. I'm gonna call this meeting of the City of Salem Legislative Committee to order. President Ahoy.
Stable then.
And absent is Nordyke.
She lost.
And so let's see, we have updates and information sharing. Justin Martin, you are up.
Morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council, staff. Good to see everybody. Sorry I'm late. I was with Representative Sanchez's staff, talking about all our priorities. As everybody can see.
Did you deliver the important package that was we gave you
I
this
didn't
morning?
mention that.
Oh, okay, good.
This got dropped off.
Nice.
So the super secret package is in. Here's all I've got. We've got another deadline coming up May 5th. As everybody has seen, there's a lot of dead wood that's now out of the process, as we knew that was going to happen. May 5th now is the next deadline for bill posting for work sessions in the second chamber. Then we have a May 19th deadline for staff. Work sessions must be held in the second chamber by that point. And then the big date is May 17th, which is the May forecast, which we all know is what we're working towards with our packages. Quick update from Representative Sanchez's office. Totally understands where we're going. I said, we're refining those asks. We're getting those narrowed down. You will know what they are officially here pretty quick, but we've been working with both Patterson's office, Evans' office, and the rest of our members, the rest of our delegation. So they know what our track is. They know we've got tunnel vision, and we know we're focused on that right now. So that's my update, Mr. Mayor. And I know we've got a bunch of stuff to go through with staff. So I will switch it over to Courtney.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a couple of bills on the agenda today that we just wanted to provide you with some updates on. We don't have anything really for your action or decision forward to council unless you so choose. But we have these updates on photo radar, weapons in public spaces, the safety in the workplace lit piece, and the short-term rentals, and a bunch of the housing things. So with your permission, we'll just run it down.
Great.
Cool. So, hey, Kevin, would you like to give us an update on photo radar?
I would love to. Photo radar made its way out of the House, and now it's over at the Senate. It got kicked to next week for third reading. There was a little bit of debate on the House floor when it passed there. So we're just kind of waiting for that to get through the Senate. It'll be most likely passing it on to the governor's desk to sign, and then we'll have to start working on that.
So I'm sorry, has it been through committee in the Senate or did it start in the Senate?
No, it has not been through committee in the Senate.
Okay, so
So
it's still
they had looked at it, and then they moved it to Tuesday or the 17th.
17th.
Yes.
What committee is it in?
And it's awaiting a vote on Senate floor now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
because of the transportation, but it was during committee. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just rolled it over. So the vote should be on the 17th, you know, with the exception of whatever's going on with 2005. I mean, I think that's gun bills are, as everybody saw last week, slowing things down, creating kind of the normal floor mishmash and some angst amongst parties.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think it got kicked to that vote for the 17th on that, but I would assume that it'll probably roll right through on the photo radar. Seems probably on that side of the house to have a little bit better support or not as much consternation.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to roll right into the weapons?
sure, 2007, which is what we provided support on initially. That's dead, but it got rolled into 2005, which is now kind of an omnibus bill on all things gun related. So they rolled in into 2005, all the ghost gun bills and purchasing age requirements and restrictions, and then also the weapons to be carried in public places, and that was kind of the last little portion of that was tacked onto that. That had so I'm just trying to interpret what was in bill tracker, that the rules were suspended and it was kicked to May 4th. So that one's still off out there, and lots and lots and lots of testimony when they posted the first work session. So obviously I think that's catching a lot of play.
And that's the bill that's really being used as the negotiating tool to first slow down and speed up and slow down and speed up. And they keep putting that off to try to garner some speed up.
Yeah,
So,
so that one's the big one. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll keep our eye on that one and how that plays out. But it looks like it's going to catch a little breathing room until May.
and for our purposes, what that bill would do, it would allow us the opportunity to prohibit concealed weapons permit holders from carrying firearms at City Hall.
Correct.
Or any, like,
It's
what, like the
basically-
library.
Or I
So it's
think
public
any
spaces,
public
right?
building is.
It's public building and areas adjacent to it. So I think technically it would be, we could say Civic Center and then even Peace Plaza.
Okay,
So the area surrounding
gotcha.
the Civic Center,
But not parks.
not parks. No.
Okay, I just wanted to open that.
Yeah. not that far.
Yeah.
So the left it was adjacent. So I think reading it, not trying to interpret too far, for the Capitol, it would be some of those parks that are adjacent to that building, because that's grounds adjacent to it.
But this doesn't prohibit them. It gives the governing body the opportunity to.
The opportunity to, and then it removes affirmative defense for having a concealed weapons license. So you still, once it's prohibited, then no matter what, you can.
But I just want to make sure everybody's following. So that one piece that we did support is now part of the master big bill that has a lot of controversy attached to it.
So when we support a bill and then the bill dies and kind of gets sucked up into something else, does our support die? Does that make sense? Do we need to re-support something?
It's up to you. The way so there are the legislative policy statements which give broad support or opposition, depending on the topic, for a bunch of other topics. But this particular bill that was 2007 has gone. We supported 2007.
Right.
Now that it's gone, the concept of weapons in public spaces is now part of a larger thing. So we could, if you wish, we could support that one piece. It would be really challenging and our messaging might get lost. It would appear as though we were supporting the whole of 2005. So it's sort of, there's a lot of challenge moving forward with support of a big or omnibus thing if you only like one little bit. So it's up to you how you wish to proceed. We could be supporting that with amendments as long as that one little piece is retained, but it would just, the message might get lost.
Could you, I think maybe since it's part of this much bigger bill, and I don't know what all the parts of that much bigger bill are. Could you maybe could stop doing analysis of the much bigger bill and bring it back for our consideration?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your question, Counselor, I mean, I think we just have to analyze whether our piece that is now in a different bill, whether that different bill impacts how we feel about it. If it doesn't, great, we've taken our position, we know where we're at, and we still want this part of the portion. But it gets a little tricky on how we assess that. And so we'll do some analysis to see if we're okay with the overall package, because it's important for us to have that chunk of 2007, which is now in 2005.
Well, I guess my other question would be like, what are the benefits of us supporting something like this? I mean, does that make sense? If it comes out, yeah, we all really want this, but it makes things really, do they need our support? Right? Like that's the other part of the conversation.
There's so many voices wrapped up in this conversation right now. I don't even know if anyone's hearing.
That'll be the calculation we need to make, is if we're lending our political capital
Yep.
to supporting or objecting to this bill, then we'll have to decide that. And
Sounds good.
The target may not fly with or without it.
right,
Right.
right.
And it'll depend on who's lining up too. There might be someone, like maybe the league is getting involved in this, I don't know. But if they were to,
Newsflash.
it could, we could partner with them to further our.
Sure.
But it's pretty controversial right now.
I would still like
Always is.
to support the parts that we supported initially. But I think that Mayor Hoy's, we got to get more analysis, like, is there a poison pill versus a bitter pill? And is there good things? So that we have a better, more informed decision. But I would really like to continue supporting the piece that we initially supported.
And then, I don't know, Trevor, on that other 05 and all that stuff.
They just made them
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
Do
it's
we
a-
know what amendments they're on with 2005? Is it -9 or I?
Let's just-
it's pretty far. I mean, it combined, I think, 4 different bills into one. And so this is, I mean, it feels like the public space piece is an afterthought. It's really going after, kind of the ghost gun issue and then, age restrictions and transfer of firearms. So it's really that ownership and possession. And then the small piece was 05 being put in there for public space. So.
We'll look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Do you want to address choosing the safety in the workplace bill? Or where that, I know that one has had many amendments. I feel like that's true. Not really addressing our concern yet.
Yeah, and I have the latest iteration of it. I went on this morning and printed it off. So on April 7th, it was amended by the Senate. And the pieces of the bill that are problematic still remain. There isn't a carve out for anything with the CBA still. There still isn't a carve out for anybody that has first responders. What did get added is the director of DCBS shall adopt rules for the administration of subsection E by the E in this section in accordance with federal OSHA Act.
So can we stop for just a second? Everybody knows what we're talking about?
Can I probably need a reminder? I remember the little bits about when we met in Anderson.
Sure. So this is the bill that basically says that employees, if they have a safety concern that can't be remediated by the employer, can say, I don't feel safe doing that, and can go home. And then additionally can use paid leave work in to get compensated for the time that they're not working if the employer can't do something to, alleviate what could be a dangerous situation. Challenge for us is we pay people who go into the dangerous situation to remediate that for others. And there's no carve outs for folks that are first responders.
And our original stance was to track or to oppose.
We were just watching because we had hoped that there might be some carve outs for first responders there. And we were trying to argue that we have collective bargaining agreements for that. But so far, we haven't seen these changes that we had hoped. And I can't remember who's sponsoring, but I feel like it's challenging for us to take really significant stance just yet. So it's about how well we work the behind the scenes conversations about what the bill might need for us.
I'm guessing we've tried to have this conversation with Congressman, how best then?
We've been waiting for the amendments to kind of settle out. And I have not had that conversation yet.
I haven't either. It's a little tricky because it's our senator. But I thought it was taken care of, and I talked to Henry Campbell this morning. I thought it was all taken care of by switching it over to state OSHA and federal OSHA, that gets rid of the hurdle. Now, we still have concerns. We'll go talk to, well, not Senator Patterson now. We'll go talk to wherever it's out on the House side. But it was my understanding and Kevin's understanding from the public safety side
From the public safety side, yeah.
that was taken care of to get at the true gist of what it was.
Yeah, because now
It was
it now mirrors OSHA and federal law for
Right.
public safety, at least the public, that's just from the public safety side, so.
Does that include medics, fire, and police?
I couldn't tell you on that part.
So when you say public safety,
Yeah, well, it is, so for who else was working hard to get amendments was the Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police and the Oregon Sheriff's Association. And when they mirrored the federal OSHA standard, then they supported that amendment.
Okay. So the question is, how broad was that amendment?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
And the question will be for legal. I mean, does that make everything okay? I don't know.
So we need to get on this one right away because we need to start really working this thing soon. We can't
Yeah,
really-
and I was comforted by talking to Kevin this morning.
Yeah, so from our end,
They were taken
and
care of.
I think what we've had, the other issue is because of how broad it was for some of the public works employees. And so I don't know if that is covered under particularly that federal OSHA standard, because there could be carve outs in that for just first responders, public safety.
We need people to understand the impacts that this thing.
Right.
And so we need to really understand what the bill is saying, so we can get on that right away.
So we might need to propose an amendment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because right now it's leaving it vague, saying in the future, we'll basically do start out create some rules. But it doesn't say where we land with those rules, so it is still very vague.
So we'll come back with 2005, a broader analysis of all the impacts there, and then we'll do some more background work on the other.
And if we could hear an update sooner rather than later on 907, that would be really helpful, because I feel like we need to get on this.
Yeah, I'll call my buddy over. She's on it.
Thank you.
Sounds like Dan might have talked to her already, so great.
So then,
And then hopefully that eases some of your fears.
so the next topic is the short-term rentals. And I don't remember, Eunice, were you looking into short-term rentals? I'll skip through that, didn't I? Thank you.
Yeah, that was Representative Anderson's bill that was related to historic property and short-term rental. There was an amendment introduced that would turn it into a study bill, but with that amendment, it still did not come out of the committee, so it is not alive anymore. I think the chair had mentioned having some sort of work group around short-term rentals, understanding that has an impact on housing, but the bill did not make.
so for now, this session is done.
And we'll keep an eye if there is an interesting group.
Thank you.
And then we have just like all the housing stuff. And Jessica, do you want to lead just sort of with the housing, and then Eunice, would you like to provide any updates on the housing?
Thankfully, for the most part, I don't have any major updates. It's been fairly quiet since the passage of House Bill 2001 and the funding package, which is 5019. There's a lot of work going in the background to try to support those efforts as far as the funding amounts that are going out county by county.
I could just offer a quick update on that, like just locally. So last night we voted where the monies would go, and I don't have the list right in front of me, but Salem Housing Authority not only got their ask, they got some additional money because the group was so impressed with their application. So they got a little under 400,000 for rapid rehousing. There will be a new microshelter community in Monmouth, which is really exciting. For the first time, there will be a microshelter community in Polk County, so that's really cool. Church at the Park got money. United Safe Sleep, United Way got money to expand their shelter as well. Church at the Park got additional dollars. So there's the whole system was really in our whole region really it's better off today than it was yesterday for sure.
Yeah, and we specifically took the track of supporting our partners in this work, as opposed to pursuing our own needs directly.
And if anybody wants the specific numbers, I have it on the like get to.
Yeah, so based on that information, and then we've got the housing needs analysis bill, which is moving forward and has had many amendments and a lot of engagement with the stakeholders. The Housing Production Advisory Council that was created to address the production that has started. There's 5 different committees. They are tasked with those specific committees addressing those areas and coming up with recommendation, which will provide legislation into the 24th session for improvements in housing production. The Housing Authorities group as a whole has recommended that we provide subject matter experts for those specific committees and addressing those specific areas where we might have input around the state. So Nicole and I have both put our names on that list in hopes that we can maybe address some of those things that Eunice and I have been looking through, and Sarah and her work through the Our Salem project and offering those solutions that are going to be required under the housing needs analysis anyways. And so a lot of conversations, a lot of talk, all of the items that we've supported to this point are moving forward in their respective committees. And right now there's no real firm decisions to be made. We're just working behind the scenes to continue with those priorities.
Thank you.
Eunice, do you have others? Pieces?
Yeah, there are 2 bills that we're still watching and working on. House Bill 3414 is the governor's bill that includes setting up a new housing office, as well as has language around cities being required to approve variances for residential development. That's been broadened, at least intended to broaden that from variances to like all waivers and adjustments, which would have a huge impact on kind of our local ability to enforce our codes. So we're working on that with the LOC and others. And then there's another bill, House Bill 3569, which was the right to housing bill that the homeowners had put forward. Both of these bills are moved to rules, and so they have time. We're working with the LOC and maybe about 10 other cities. We had our first meeting with the home builders and the property owners association to really get to the crux of what is the issue that they're trying to address in terms of process improvements or speed and time of housing. And so we're working on that. So we'll keep you posted.
Just for everybody's understanding, when the bill goes to rules, that means none of the time limits apply anymore. So none of the deadlines apply when you're in rules.
What does that mean?
That means that like that date that the bill has to move out of one house to the other and do all the different things, doesn't apply to any of those bills that are sitting in the rules committee. They can literally sit there until the sine die gavel and they have the possibility of passing at any moment, even though all the deadlines have passed.
And you'll see those rules committees, council are made up of mainly leadership.
Yeah.
You'll have the majority leaders, you'll have it's kind of the who's who of committees.
It's kind of
get
like,
everything done late.
yeah, it's kind of like a really small e-board where they have like this outsized authority kind of to make laws up to the last minute. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Room where it happens.
The room where it happens.
For sure. Oftentimes members will get pulled out. Senate president would go in and make a vote.
Yeah.
Speaker goes in, pulls a member out, makes a vote, all kinds of fun stuff at the end, right?
I think safely characterized as shenanigans.
Yes, these are the committees that will really get
Yeah.
everything done to get out of the building.
Yeah.
Other than ways and means.
So we are going, that's the end of our updates. We have Senate Bill, I think that's 907, the safety in the workplace. We'll give you guys an update on that shortly. And then House Bill 2005, which is the broader bill about guns in federal, and it has that one piece that we really want to make sure to support further. So have more analysis on that when we get together next. Our next scheduled meeting date is the 28th of April. I think that still works for everyone. I don't. Okay.
Anything else from the committee members? Questions or concerns? Staff? Justin?
No.
All right.
It may be slow for a bit.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff underneath going on. So we want it slow. It's not really slow.
So I get your nice lavender on it. It's your calming.
I guess.
Yes.
I guess.
Lilac or lilac.
Really scale me down. But actually, Councilor Phillips has one more bit.
I just wanted to comment, I like that we reordered the sheltering on the second page. Thank you for putting it first. And then how much, if any of that was received through the thing you guys voted on yesterday? I don't remember that. So the sustained, yeah, I didn't think so. Thank you for clarifying. So is there any, like, with these funds that we're asking for, do we have any progress?
Yes, our request is still active.
Okay,
That's our progress.
yeah, so like, how does that work? Like, how do we get?
So basically, there's nothing gonna be happening on these at least until May 17th, when the next forecast comes out. Then we'll start getting more of an indication. And the closer that we get to June 20, whatever it is, 29th, or whatever the last day is, within the last hours and minutes of that day, we'll probably hear yes or no.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, just like I've said a million times, every session has its own kind of unique flavor and its own way to approach it. Members have been told to scale their priorities down to 3 asks. And those 3 asks, our main ask is certainly one of those 3 asks with our senator. So everybody's kind of filtering down now and figuring out how it happens, where it goes. They're compiling huge spreadsheets with asks from all their members and what really needs to happen. Then you overlay the politics on top of that, and you overlay which members in which districts need things, and you overlay this with that.
The good news is
So it all comes out at the end.
our asks are 100% aligned with the governor's priorities. That's a really good place to be. We're getting some really great press. We've got some really great momentum going, so I think we have ourselves positioned as well as we can. Justin's doing his work in the building. I think that, you know, where we want to be.
And it's also important to note, I mean, you know, not everything happens in a single legislative session, right? So it's good that we have priorities. So, I mean, if you looked at some of our stuff now, and again, not to be negative or pessimistic, but we've got one really big ask on here that might not happen this session. That doesn't mean that we aren't doing the job of advocating and informing. And who knows what happens in a 25 session when transportation is not the focus versus 23 where homelessness and housing is the focus. So maybe in 25, we've just constantly started putting it on our own delegation's radar and the co-chair's radar. So they know it's out there. They know it's a big need, that it impacts multiple communities. It's just a matter of adjusting expectations and knowing that the legislature is an ongoing body that will always go and always exist. It's just a matter of how we get that stuff in front of them and how they prioritize.
And as a reminder, it's a new world order without having to set a precedent in their delegation. Yeah, that's the whole world has changed.
It really has, and you know, and that's politics, and that's seniority, and that's people knowing the process, and that's people knowing what they really need to get out of it. And in a leadership-driven process, that's just how it's always going to be. And we just don't have that, you know, the longest acting Senate president of all time. We don't have that anymore. So that being said, we've still got really good advocates, and we've got a really good delegation that understands our needs and our priorities. I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.